Welcome everyone here in Lisbon and online to this talk about design education. The title is The Revolution Will Be Designed, which is quite a statement, of course. Designers now more than ever are supposed to be problem solvers, and actually they are, by definition. When designers have projects, processes, they receive a commission, it's actually a challenge or a problem to be solved, and they use their creativity and their problem-solving skills to come with a solution. Some people are born with this talent, but you can also learn it, for instance, at school, and that's what we are going to look into today. Here at the table with me are people who are wearing multiple hats. They're all designers or artists themselves. They're also teachers, and they also are responsible for projects and processes in various parts of the world. Let me start with you, Giulio. Giulio Vinaccia says that he was born as a product designer. And he worked for big brands in sports equipment, electronics, lighting. But nowadays he actually uses design as a development tool all over the world on behalf of UNIDO, which is the United Nations Industrial Development Organization. And it's for this work that a couple of years ago he received the Compasso d'Oro, which is the most prestigious international design prize. Giulio is currently developing projects in Mozambique, a sustainable food project in the south of Mexico, and a creative hub in Ethiopia. Giulio is also a teacher in various countries, among others in Portugal, and he is here with Maria Milano from ESAD in Matosinhos in the north of Portugal, where, together with Maria, he develops a brand new master degree which is called actually Design for Social Impact, which will start in January. Maria herself is an architect, a curator and a teacher, and she's the coordinator of this new master degree. At the table, we also have Irene Fortuyn, head of the Men and Leisure Department at the Design Academy of Eindhoven in the Netherlands, which focuses on participatory design. Irene is also the director of Ketter & Co. Foundation, which creates projects for the social and urban space, and which collaborates with cultural organizations, with schools, with entrepreneurs and nature organizations to create real projects in the real world. She's an artist too, who creates environments, parks and landscapes, and in these projects, care and maintenance are key. Last but not least, we also have Susanna Cerri. She is a designer, a lecturer at the University of Florence, and a member of Civic City. Civic City is an institute for critical design research and an international network with urban planners, designers, architects, anthropologists, sociologists, social scientists, and other professionals. Civic City investigates and makes known the not knowing. Susanna will explain that better than I can. And one of the projects, a very exciting project, is the Scuola del non sapere, the school of not knowing. It's wonderful to have you all here. We also have a contribution from Jean Gardner, who is emeritus professor at the Parsons School of New York, Design School of New York. She is a passionate teacher. We will see a video with her later on, to start with. She's a passionate teacher, a writer and an activist, and she also started the Earth Group Global with the objective to integrate what we make into Earth's life-supporting systems. She will explain that in the video. Jean is also a true mentor to many people all over the world, among others also to Fatima from Passau Futuro, who passed away barely 3 weeks ago and who is terribly missed. And we dedicate this talk to her. She will remain forever in our hearts. Bon, let's watch the video with Jean Gardner first, please. It's an interview. It takes like 10 minutes.
Hello, Jean. We have a couple of questions for you. First of all, The title of our talk today about design education is "The Revolution Will Be Designed." That's quite a statement, isn't it? And we are wondering, what is your understanding of this topic?
Well, thank you so much, Voss, for such a relevant question today. For me, design has always been, its purpose is to align with what we make with the Earth systems. And when I use the word revolution, I mean it's recognizing today that we can't survive, and I mean we can't survive without aligning ourselves with these Earth systems. Why? Because design has forgotten its relationship to the Earth. At my NGO, Earth Group Global, we demonstrate that in today's post-pandemic climate crisis era, catch that? Post-pandemic climate crisis, it's imperative that we create a new narrative that is within an Earth-based design education revolution. So we've got to put ourselves within Earth systems. We can't design as if we were outside of them. So that's what the design revolution means to me.
Yes. And so you started this Earth Group Global. Can you explain a little bit more what it is and what is the connection of it to the world of design?
Well, Earth Group Global is the NGO that I and others have created to deal with exactly the problems we're talking about, to address the situation today, and specifically the world of design. That's the world I come out of, and that's the world that this NGO, and especially the website, we call it EGG for short, that's where we're focused. And what we do is we work in the field of design, and our purpose is to inspire the confidence of designers in their own experiences, not in some famous architect, some famous interior designer, no, in themselves. An example is at EGG, we curate an ongoing series of blogs. It's on our website. I hope all of you will go and have a look. And these are blogs from professionals whose own transformative experiences support others to have the courage to recognize the tremendous value of their own transformative experiences. In other words, I don't want you to be inspired by me. I want you to be inspired to look at your own experiences. So that's the heart of the connection.
What is a transformative experience? Can you explain it a little bit and maybe give an example? Just to be sure that we understand very well what you are talking about.
A transformative experience is one in which you listen to your own body. And this is instead of listening to the ways you've been taught to behave. By listening to your own body, I am pointing to listening to any internal movement that creates a sensation. Fear, excitement, hunger, longing. We all have these sensations, but we're not taught to pay any attention to them. these sensations should stop you in your tracks, whatever you're doing in that moment. And you should listen, feel it. You have to have confidence in yourself by responding to your own internal experience. I know this sounds strange because we haven't been taught this. If anything, we're taught not to pay any attention at all. If you get excited, or hungry, any of those things, forget it. But if you start to really listen to your body, you're going to get a sense of empowerment because it's what's happening to you. And then you have a choice. You can decide not to follow that sensation or to follow it. In other words, you're not a prisoner of your sensations. You're empowered because you are listening to your own body and what it knows. So this is key.
Mm-hmm.
Your body knows things because it's been with you this entire lifetime. It's learned not to walk down a dark alley in the middle of the night. It's learned to dance when you're happy. And that's a transformative experience, to suddenly not have to think to yourself, oh my God, what was I taught to do? I'm not supposed to laugh. I'm not supposed to jump. I'm not supposed to have a good time. No, listen to yourself. That's transformative.
Yes.
So I suggest you to read the blogs on the website for EGG, and you'll see the results of people listening to themselves.
Yes, sure. We will do that. And can you tell us how this relates to design, the design world or designers?
Key question. The design responses that we have been taught, the things that we've slaved over and memorized, they're not responding to the pandemic or the climate crisis, because this has not happened before. So how could they?
Mm-hmm.
Instead, our previous modes of behavior have led us to this crisis because we haven't been listening to what our bodies know. For designers,
yes,
this is a great opportunity during the pandemic, climate crisis, to reevaluate what we've been taught versus what we experience, what we know in our own hands and our bodies. Because this is absolutely unilaterally a time of survival. And I'm not using this in anything except its literal meaning. We need designers to realize that we are one with the earth. We're not separate. And I'll give you an example. A project that EGG is presently developing in flood-affected Pakistan is one in which we're working with an architect, with a designer, to create a new language of design. Built rehabilitation structures are responsive to the land that they're built on, to the indigenous people living on that land, to tradition, to ancient construction technology, but they're also learning and developing a new language to the unexpected annual onslaught of devastating floodwaters. So I wanted to describe that we're engaging with on-the-ground professionals who are in Pakistan,
mm-hmm.
and they're looking at best practices in relief architecture because of the floods in Pakistan. At the same time that this group is supporting regional youth through mental health programs. Now that may sound strange, it may seem to you, well, what's that got to do with flooding?
Mm-hmm.
But we're realizing that not only flood-affected people, but all of us are suffering from mental health problems because of our unfamiliarity with what is happening to us. So we're with these teenagers in the regional area where the floods have been, we are developing a digital space for the teenagers to take ownership of their communal inter-village communication network. This is a transformative.
That's a very clear example and a very inspiring example. Thank you for that. Jean, we have a lot of designers in our audience. I'm wondering, how can designers probably collaborate with your Earth Group Global?
Well, you're all welcome. And I expect after Voss and I doing this interview that you're going to come and really help at this moment, because this is an unprecedented time. Design has never had an opportunity like this on this scale, because we're talking about the scale of the entire Earth. Mm-hmm. And we are selecting at EGG design projects to collaborate with that grapple right straight on. And I'm pushing you, encouraging you, pulling you to grapple with these unfamiliar conditions. Don't let yourself say, oh, I can use this solution or that solution, because there are no ready-made answers. Mm-hmm. And I know this is hard for us to take in, but this is the situation. Yeah. So ideally, the projects are grounded in the values of what our bodies know, and in particular, what our hands can communicate by making. So our body knows things, our hands are the way that we communicate this to other people. So I look forward to hearing from all of you. Go to the website for Earth Group Global.
Thank you very much for this very inspiring talk. Thank you very much for your contribution. And we send you many warm greetings from Lisbon.
Thank you. I enjoyed every minute. Thank you very much, boss. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jean Gardner. Then can I invite you, Giulio, to make your point of view, explain a little bit what you're doing? And
after these words?
Yes. First of all, what do you think? You feel connected?
No, let's make this first statement. Design is a big umbrella. Mm-hmm. Under this umbrella, there is a lot of space and a lot of points of view that are different and that all have good value. So if you say, I will join their group, no. Mm-hmm. It's not my way of doing. But if I agree that something like that happened, I'm full agree. Mm-hmm. So this is the point of view. Design is not the engineer. I don't know if it's engineered like that, but design is a very huge description of an enormous activity, different kind of activities. What I am full agree with the lady, it's
Jean Gardner.
Jean Gardner, is that we have an enormous responsibility in this moment, and we are facing a lot of problems. Mm-hmm. My French friends say the next problem will be some Martian arriving to the Champs-Élysées, no? That's everything happened in the last 2 or 3 years. Uh-huh. So clearly we need to adapt our way of work, and we need to adapt our way of teach, because the situation that we are facing is not more like previously. And this is at the same time a drama, because we have not the tools to fix the story. No? It's not easy. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's a big opportunity to create something else.
Yes.
And this is my relation with this talk. Mm-hmm. I would like to be more integrated with myself. But sometimes in my work, with the communities, I have no time. It's a difference to be a psychologist and to work in the first aid. She's a psychologist. I work in first aid. My problem is we need to find, 20,000 fireplaces in Lebanon because the winter is coming and we need to create something. Let's do it. It's a different approach. I would love to have this time to think about my relation with the earth. I would love to do it. But normally in my work, I have no time to do that. Maybe it's wrong.
Yeah. She's doing long-range projects with youngsters in flooded area to empower them, etc. So it's also kind of first aid.
I understand that, and this is we can talk after about the relation of this kind of situation with what we are teaching in the university.
Yes.
This is the gap that we have. That's happening, and what happening around us in what we are teaching in the university.
Yes.
Exactly.
So you want to talk about this gap between reality and teaching?
Okay, if I want to, I can take my point of view. Okay, I'm Italian, so I come from the Italian design school. And the Italian design school is very related with the masters that work, Mr. Castiglioni, and his brother works in his studio, and it was like a temple of creativity. But that is finished, is end many years ago. But unfortunately, for marketing reasons, many design schools in Italy, they are still teaching this reality. Because this reality is never, in Italy, nobody do design anymore like that. But they are still teaching, and they are still selling the dream of the Italian design. I understand this is a marketing issue, but...
and why is that? Why they keep on teaching this? Well, reality
because
has
it's
changed?
Good for marketing, because everybody say from all over the world, where are you studying? I study in Milano. No? It's like to be a Japanese and know about electronics. Study in Italy give like a certificate of good designer somehow, or used to do. So there is a marketing, and also there is another reason. I don't know in Holland, but in Italy, the university and she is teaching in the Firenze University, and she can be a witness for us. The university are the latest who arrived. We discovered that the life changed.
Yes.
But why? Because also it's normal that I am the professor of the chairman of the School of Design. After years, I can take my chair. I took my chair and very happy to be that. And from one moment to another, she arrived and said, Italian design is end. And what you learn is not more working. Clearly, nobody will accept that. So it's clear that many of the professors still teaching the old way because it's their goodwill, their story. And it's also good. What I say is that there is no bad or good. What I say is that we are creating designers that doesn't match with the reality. This is the problem. If you know from the beginning, and I say to him, you will study Italian design on the 60, and you say, I agree, great, right? But if I tell you, you will be the latest, the best design school, and you study Italian design from the 60, you will have a problem when you go into reality, right?
Yes.
So I teach in the university in Italy, and some students are right saying, what do you think about this lamp? So, nice. I will go to Artemide to sell. Don't either ring the door of Artemide because they don't care about you. They don't know if they like. There's not more this word that I design something and I go, Miss Euroluce, you want to do it? It's not working anymore like that. But they are still teaching. So what I think is important is analyze that we have space for everything. You want to be in the past, great. But you need to explain that this is an old story. And what we need, and this is the drama that I live day by day in my work, is that I don't find designers who can work with me in the developing countries in facing real problems, because they say, no, I want to be in Milano. No, let's go to Kinshasa. No, Kinshasa, no, it's not for me. So this is the problem, that there is a lack of this kind of person, the professionalities.
Yes.
And there is a lot of designers who will be unemployed. I always tell to my students, today you are graduate, tomorrow you are unemployed, because there is not so much classical design work. So my point of view is, okay, there is a space for everybody, but what is important is that the design schools follow the reality and don't be
lagging behind and living in the past.
I don't know, this is my Italian experience.
Yes.
But,
and that is why, exactly, I guess, why you set up in Matosinhos with Maria Milano this new master degree, Design for Social Impact. Maybe Maria or Giulio or you together, can you tell us something about this new master degree?
By Maria.
Yes. Well, in sequence to the word of Giulio Vinaccia, today is not the time to develop big prestigious projects and to create glamorous products. Today is the time to make reflection about what kind of project we need and what makes sense to project to improve our world. My experience with my students is the students are sometimes very preoccupied with easy success and star design, and for this reason, it's important to develop a new sensibility for today's real necessity and understanding how they can use their design skills to make the world a better place. And for this reason, we project this master degree that beginning in January 23. And is a master is a consequence of actions that we make in the ESAD in the last years. And I would like maybe if I have a time show some pictures because about a project that prepare that was an action for this new master degree. I don't know if I can show something.
Tomasz, can we show the pictures?
This is my thank you.
So those are pictures of workshops that you did
Yes.
to prepare the master degrees, right?
Yes. It was a workshop we prepared past months. The name is O Bairro Está Inclusivo. It was were held 6 workshops in a neighborhood in Matosinhos, and we find the collaboration of neighborhood association and involved the inhabitant of the district of the neighborhood. But we involve especially the kids from the local schools. And my students work in this workshop with kids, developing solutions to improve the public space and the space around the district and the neighborhood. I can show something, for instance, a bench around a tree in a public garden, or, for example, a nice and clean space, communal spot to dry the laundry, or a little bridge that can be seated or can cross the wall that in this place acted as a barrier. And, for example, another tree house, Christmas tree house. It's all small, very, very small actions, very cheap. but transforming the shared place of these people and make better the neighborhood relationship. It's a humble and not arrogant approach. It's not prestigious, but crucial urban acupuncture. We need that our students see this as their role, and we need change and make a revolution in the school, in fact. We invite frequently in the last years personality like Giulio Vinaccia or like Angela Carvalho and other designers active in social design, to show the students example of good practice and success in this field. This workshop were a preparatory action for our master degree. The application is open now until November of this year. And the students are invited to develop a project, international project about creative industry, international and not international, local project too. And the school support, they can choose the project and the community that can help. And the school support them to connect with the NGO where they can do an internship. We have a big name and prestigious group of teachers. We can speak about, for example,
like Emmanuel Bablet, for
Emmanuel Bablet is one.
So it's a reunion of people who believe that design is not only design an object. So it's a group of persons that personally are all people that I met before, and maybe we have different point of views, but and so they are colleagues that I respect very much, from Angela Carvalho to Imke Plinta, Rudi Verabau, they are theorician about design, and very, very, very extreme theorician. Until Siggy Tortersen, who was one of the guys who recreated the design. They designed the Iceland after the crisis, together with Björk and the other singers. You know, this kind of community project that for us is like a dream. In Italy, you cannot design anything either with a famous pop singer, you know, but in Iceland it's possible. So all these persons that have this kind of fire, small fire inside. So we try to invite, and everybody agree because they love the story to be together. Either if they don't agree, maybe I have Rudy Bort told me to say, I'm agree with you 90%, but I will come to see to work in your master because of this 10% we are not agree. So it means everybody want to have this confrontation, but it's a positive confrontation. No, it's not that we are going to do exactly the same thing and tell the same story. No, that's it's not perfect. So this is the story of this master degree, but the master degree burned. I just tell you something that I cannot say, but burned in one day that I went to. I was invited to do a lecture in Matosinhos in.
Before you are invited in a Frontiere exhibition.
So I was in Porto Biennale, they invite me. And once we have a coffee, I say, Maria, what I can do, I cannot find anyone to this international project. What I can do, let's do a master degree to have this absolutely egoistic decision. Please help me to create a group of people who are able to work in this without, I make selection of 20, 30, and I find one sometimes. So they start like this. Let's do. And after clearly was evolution. Of course, we are talking about a film that is already shown. This movie nobody has seen yet. We are starting. We have a lot of good ideas, and let's see what will happen. We will have international staff. It's in English and Portuguese, and the majority of the team are Portuguese and international also. So it's what I like. It's kind of there is no normal language. You can mix. Você pode falar português e inglês juntos.
Sounds like a very interesting master degree.
Yeah, I would like to do if I was 30 years later.
Okay,
and the students learn how recognize the resource, material resource in a local space, specific space, and the specific human resource, because it's important to recognize and develop a new sensibility to recognize how we can make big projects with nothing, with small resources.
And especially, let's say the last word, is learn to take your responsibility.
Yes.
Because we have a responsibility.
There you agree with Jean Gardner, actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very much, 100%.
Absolutely, absolutely.
1900,
We have a responsibility. We cannot close the eyes and be like struzzo, non so come si dice. I don't know. There is an animal that put the head on the stand. I don't know.
Yeah, it is actually to take your responsibility, but also to teach the ability to respond.
Bravo.
Because that's what it actually is for students.
This is the problem.
And the student like very much to make some kind, this kind of project. They like speak with the people, try understanding what is the real needs, what is the real life in a place. And for the workshop that I show, I understanding that I can teach the student and I can change the mentality.
Give them this ability.
And the purpose of the student is the student today is to be a success designer, a star designer.
We can talk about later on, if this is your feeling as teachers as well. Please, Irene, can you share your point of view?
Yeah, I was very happy today to discover Jean Gardner and her idea about the earth, because that really resonates with me. Well, I'm the person from the Netherlands here. And of course, if you talk about earth and the landscape, I come from a design country. 100%. And my country is for a large part under sea level, which means that we reclaim sea to become land, so it's one big earth project in a sense, but that also brings along that we did something stupid. We put dikes instead of having the sea bring little layers of earth. And we made the dikes, and then you were responsible for the dike, for the piece of dike that is adjacent to your land. But of course, as an individual, I'm responsible for that. But I'll also look at my neighbor, because if he doesn't take care of his part of the dike, then we still have a problem. So I think we're also talking here about the individual versus the collective.
Yeah, exactly.
And that is the problem, that star designers come for becoming a star, an individual. There's no point to that anymore so much. So Jean Gardner. And I'll start with the one project that I'm working on, or project. I actually design education, and I like to do so. I'm an artist, and I started in the institutional art world at a young age. Ticked all the boxes, and at a certain point, after 10, 15 years, I had an exhibition in the Stedelijk Museum, half the museum in Amsterdam, and every time I walked out into the street, I thought, what happens here, and why do we artists stay in this museum talking about the finest point and detail, whereas and out here? So then my practice became hybrid, and it ended in me starting this foundation called Ketter & Co., which in English would say Heretic & Co., and the heretic is like the witches. And actually the ones who ask the questions, because the subtitle is A World Without Heretics is a World Without Questions. Because that's where it starts. And I found that when I went outside in a commission practice, because outside you can't just as an artist just start and do something. No, you have to you have to have somebody will I have to ask you something. And I thought the questions were often didn't really think they were great. And I thought, if I would really know what kind of things I would like to be working on out here. And then with Ketter & Co, so we started to do a self-commissioned practice. That means that you think about what you want to work on and about, and then you find the people who should pay for this, or in whose interest it is. So that's what we do. And Land and Hand is one of the projects that came out of that, Land and Hand. It's about the relation landscape, material, craftsmanship. And 200 years ago, if we would be sitting here, everything that would be around us, from the chairs to the table to the lamps, etc., we would know exactly where the materials would have come from, who had made it. And even if things came from far, because maybe that was this Chinese little cup, we would know it. And now we are in spaces, well, not here, but normally that is, stuff comes from everywhere and we have no idea. And then, of course, Industrial Revolution happened and everything changes, and production to low-wage countries, and all our crafts that always had been linked to landscape all over the world, those ties were cut. And yet we have a quest for sustainability. We have to teach our young people this idea of what is sustainability actually for a generation, and also for us, where stuff arrives at the front door with DHL and you throw it in the garbage and it disappears and you have no idea where it comes from or where it goes to after that. That's where we set up. And then that combined with, we used to have this educational system where you had vocational training and academic training side by side. And in 1968, a new educational system was introduced where they talked about higher and lower education in the Netherlands. And kids are tested at the age of 12 only for cognitive abilities, which is because we want to become a knowledge economy, like everywhere, not especially in the Northern Europes. And so kids would be tested on their cognitive abilities and they would get the verdict capable or incapable. And for a lot of kids, it's really painful to get this result. So you're never tested on how good you can make things. Nobody tells somebody who's very smart in his head, but a very clumsy person, you're such a clumsy person, please go to gymnasium, study Latin and Greek, and don't know what you're going to do. And with this Land and Hand program, we're trying to bridge this gap, to make this awareness about the landscape where we're in, and also to take these kids out, do projects in the real world. And we do this with the vocational training. This is not the design academy, but this is the other project. And it's very interesting because when you take kids outside of the school and you ask them, you take them into the landscape, or even ask them when you travel from home to school, what do you pass? What is actually, and then it opens their eyes, and it always says, what materials are there? What can we make of that, etc. And then at Design Academy Eindhoven, in 2000, I was asked by Liedewij Edelkoort to become a head of department there, and I said to her, no way. Design is the worst enemy of the artists because they take the form of everything, but not the content, so no. And then I went to that school and she said, come and have a look because it's a great building. So I went and it was a great building. And then I said, can I do a department where we design stuff away? I mean, there's already so much. And I liked Design Academy also because it started after the war as the Academy for Industrial Design, linked to Philips in Eindhoven. Philips was there, a big consumer electronics and company. And they needed, there was this positive vibe of everybody, stuff, we need to design a lot of stuff, everybody has to have a lot of stuff, and we need industrial designers. So it was a function that was met. By the end of the 20th century, industrial design, the Academy for Industrial Design became Design Academy Eindhoven, and a lot changed. And also they didn't train anymore in subjects like architecture or product design, but there were these strange new titles. And So I became head of a department, and we immediately started not only to design stuff, but object, system, service, experience. And now, 20 years later, we're at this point that we realize, yes, that the designers of the future, and actually that's what we're talking about here tonight, they will have to cope in this world. And one thing is for sure, we don't know what the world of tomorrow will ask of our students. So versatility is a very important thing to teach them. So on the one hand, of course, you need to train your hand and your writing and your making skills, etc. But in the second year, I also start with first training and talking and working with the students on projects that are about who am I, what values did I grow up with, which ones do I actually like, and which one maybe not, and what would I like to add to that. And we do that as design projects. And then we also, and what is this world out there? And it can be a small world or a bigger one, or it can be anywhere. And then what is the exchange between the two? And that's an important one as well. So we talk about agency, and we talk about the individual and the collective. And for instance, now, with my second year students, we're doing a program called, this is the title for a whole semester, Guesting and Hosting. So it's the practices of guesting, being a guest, and realizing what that means, and also the practice of hosting. And that happens on many different scales, like we're hosted here tonight, and some are also guesting here tonight. But we also have bodies on a micro scale. We're hosting many things here, but also on a larger scale. And also when we go to projects all over the world, we're also, what are we and how do we behave, or how are we as guests and as hosts? And so, and then we always take also our students into the world from early on to be, we're now going to Brussels also to look into into the guesting and hosting in different areas, tourism, problems, questions, and who is what, and what is your position as a designer. And because if it's not right, or if you're not aware, it can easily also become a next neo-colonial practice. So we want to build up our students in their confidence, in knowing themselves and realizing that you're part of the design process. It's not something outside of you. It's a whole network that you're part of. Mm-hmm. That's it.
Thank you, Irene.
For now.
Yes, thank you. We will talk more about it later. Can I now invite Susanna Cerri to share with us her point of view? Oh, we don't hear Susanna. Thomas? Susanna, you have to unmute yourself on your mic.
I have got. Can you hear me?
Questo.
Knopje.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
On your little box.
Yes, but she can't see us, I think.
Okay.
Somebody can
Susanna,
write.
can you hear us? You should unmute yourself on your little box. Switch the sound on. Yes, now we can hear you. Thank you. Okay. Yes. Would you be so kind to share with us your point of view and tell us about Scuola del Non Sapere, for instance, and Civic City?
Yeah. I am a little bit out of place in many parts of the full discourse you have done, because I am a graphic designer and I suffer greatly in Italy the overlap between design and products. And in Italy, design is a sort of synonymous of product, and sometimes graphic design is something who is only used to sell something or to improve the capacity of the product to communicate. But I really think that we don't ask ourselves if we are a product, graphic, or other kind of design. I think that it's important that we using our capacity to rethink reality and try to have a different outcome like a designer. Because I think that the real rule of the design is re-questioning what is given to us and looking at this from a different point of view. And we have to leave our comfort zone to try to connect with the other and to accept different point of view. In this direction, I think that design, it's maybe the powerful tools that we have to improve the world. Because through design, we can deconstruct what is given to us. And if you, I work like a graphic designer for a lot of years, and then from 10 years, maybe 10 or 12 years, I am in the University of Florence, like as a lecturer. And I try to, I am calling called for a concept work. I was called for the rebranding of the university. But after this, with the director of the department and the responsible of my area, we try to improve a laboratory in which students can go on in a very practical way, mixing research with real work. And we work essentially in the area of the communication, of design, of editorial design, but the things that the field that I like, I have like topics. Excuse me, I am not so smart, and it's the relation from the sign and the city. And in this direction, we do a lot of work in our city. I think that education, yeah, do you hear me?
No.
Giulio, do you say something?
No. Did you say something, Giulio? Did you want to share something?
No. I'm just commenting that I have some problem to understand her.
It's not easy to understand you, Susanna. It's true.
Yeah, because my audio is very terrific, so I lose a lot of things that you have said. So I think that one of the rule of designer, and in particular of graphic designer, or that I am, the things that I can do, is to teach to the student that the design is a tool to change the world. But it is not a simply revolution slogan. I think that is obviously something very beautiful, very smart to say. But I think that it's important that we use the tools that we are learning at school and our network, our skills, our capacity to improve the world. Because design, like Moderator say, is an attitude. And the work of the designer, for me, is to transform reality. And that is our perception of this reality. And this project that we have done we are going to do with Rudy and Vera Bauer in the city, and it moves precisely in this direction of the interdisciplinarity that is the characteristic of the civic city work. We have tried to do this work on the School of Not Knowing from the choosing to confront with the didactic panels that are displayed in the primary class. And we starting to confront to this idea that this poster give us of the reality, and try to understand if you can question something, that is different from the answers that they say to us in this poster. Yeah.
Soon there will be an exhibition with the posters of those projects
Yeah.
that you did in several countries.
Yeah.
Can we maybe conclude? Can we maybe conclude, because the sound is not very good, but can we maybe conclude by saying that this exhibition, can you tell us where it will take place and when, so that we can go there and see the results?
The exhibition is in Milano at the Istituto de Cultura Francese on the 26th of January. And this is only the first step of this project, because in the second semester of the school, in the first semester, we have involved the school from Spain, from France and from Italy. And in the second semester, we involved with a school of Portugal and of Spain. And so this kind of relation that is important not only for the idea of different culture and different way to express our education model, but also to confront this focus on the transmission of knowledge. And I think that is important, that if we assume that there is a connect from language and knowledge, the way in which a lot of language are disappearing is a very strong sign of how many knowledge we are losing. So in the last time, we are only more than ever conditioned from the Western society in the modernist approach and this idea that culture that not come from this kind of place are something of barbaric or minor, and they are not acceptable for our improvement. But all the things that are
Susanna, we will share information about the exhibition and the Scuola del Non Sapere on the website, because now we have to finalize, because the sound is not very good, so we have to really do efforts to understand you. So I suggest we thank you for now, and we have a discussion or a conversation about the topics that we already touched here. I have a question for all of you, actually. All the projects that you are doing are fantastic, but what happens when the designers or the design is not permanent? It's only a project, for instance. We had a talk about this before, actually. Sometimes design is hit and run. You put a project in a certain neighborhood, and the revolution comes always with hope, of course, and you give people hope. And what happens when the money is finished and the designers withdraw? Ciao. What happens with the people that you leave behind? So that's a question for all of you, actually. How do you deal with that? How do you avoid that this hit and run happens? Anyone?
I want to say one thing about it. I think it is very important that has to do with this ability to respond, that we make our students, we're talking here about how we educate people, aware of that this part has to be designed as well. You design yourself in the project and out of it at the end. And that means that maybe, how do you make it in such a way that, and slowly you can disappear by training other people or locals or whatever to stay longer. And actually we did a project in a village, and we made a book about it, The Place to Stay, Practicing Embedded Design. We've been there. It's a very interesting village. Some of the books are there. But we've been there now for 10 years doing different projects, and it has with students and with different groups of students, and there's also a prison there, and it has a long history, and it's a UNESCO World Heritage now. But we did not just come and then leave. And in the beginning, the villagers were very suspicious. There's people again from Amsterdam or Eindhoven, wherever we're from. And they come and tell us what to do, and then they disappear again. But that didn't happen. And then slowly, Yeah, it's important. And now some people take over. The village actually knows how to design now almost. And so sometimes we're there and we're like, yeah, we have our presence again, but then they can do it as well. And it's starting to happen. But that's important that you design yourself out of the project, and there's an awareness about that.
I agree with her in the sense that design is not more design of a product. You need to design a system. So designing the system, you need to understand how the system would survive. And this is from the beginning. It's not at the end, wow, what we will do. I always have this story that is very nice. Everywhere I went, I was working more than 25 different countries in all over the world. In every part I go, I always met Japanese raku ceramic, everywhere. And I always ask to the ceramic guy, why you are, I don't know, in Pakistan, or you are in Nigeria, or you are in Argentina, and you find raku. And the guy say, yes, some Chinese, either they don't know if it is Japanese, some Chinese guys arrive here and they want to teach us to do raku. And we didn't like, but the guys was so nice. He say, we do it for you. And we did, and clearly when the Chinese turned on, we left the pieces that you want. So I can have a fantastic collection of all the raku from all over the world. Because why? Because this project was not designed, it was a typical design project. I always say, design from your armchair, very comfortable. Yeah. And you say, we will do 2 weeks in some exotic country, not very dangerous. So let's go to Morocco and let's do something in Marrakesh. And that's it. After 2 weeks, ciao, adieu, and bye-bye. So in my case, the main problem of the project I manage is the sustainability. And I love that's something that we need to also mention, that design is not more an individual. I don't work with designer. Normally, I am the only designer in a staff of people who are doing other kind of activities, are sociologists, engineers, multidisciplinary. And the first question I always have is, okay, my friend, very nice. Your nice idea. How we will do the sustainability is the first question that I have in all the project. Because nobody wants to spend 1 penny in project that will end 6 months later, like the Japanese raku happened. Because it was a typical project, international cooperation, we bring some ceramist. The ceramist doesn't speak the local language, the guy do, and the guy say, you do? Yeah, let's do, because they are nice people. Let's do, and that's it. So this is the wrong way to do international cooperation, the wrong way to do design. It's like many other examples all over the world happening. But in my case, I think it's a part of the project. They need to define it and design it at the moment. And the students, if we return to the university, need to learn about.
And how about students? When we look at the students who really come to university or design school to become a star designer, and they're not interested in this kind of processes.
Some of them, not all.
And they don't come to my program.
Okay.
Another thing that I agree with you, but another thing very important in my opinion is the education of the beginning from the children and the kids. Mm-hmm. Because when a kid from a local school in a neighborhood work together with a university student, like the project that I show, they change the
behavior.
No, l'autostima. Change the
self-esteem.
Self-esteem, yeah. Yes, and the same project was beginning from Riccardo Dalisi in '60 in Napoli, Quartiere Traiano. It was a very big and important project. He worked with his university student from architecture university, and worked with the children of the neighborhood. And these children in a very degraded neighborhood save your life, because understanding that each one can be, can make something good, something good, something good.
Yeah.
And this problem is interesting. In this project, I think this relation with the kid, it was sustainable, because it's for every time.
Yes.
And when you live, for instance, in a neighborhood, some little space where the people
can interact, meet each other.
Yes, meet each other. You live something that they take care of this space, because they build this space.
Yes, they feel responsible.
And there's a lot of young design students now, and that's different than 20 years ago, that are really aware of what's going on in the world and they want to do something, but they want to contribute. It's less and less, or they don't come to Eindhoven, but it's also possible. But I also notice when I teach in art academies, the awareness of the young people, the students, to become part of the solution instead of part of the problem is great.
So the student consumer
sometimes
is
it's
not
good
so
to
much.
be part of the problem also.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's good to be part of the problem, especially when you're a student.
The student consumer is not so much a problem in your case?
Yes, it is a problem in another way, because, and that has to do with the way they're trained when they're young. If you look at the educational system,
and our environment, our time, the time we're living in.
But I mean, now the forefront of the young people are wanting to solve this, and they don't want.
That's good news.
I think.
And maybe the society need develop a new aesthetic, because we are very. For us, it's beautiful when the new is beautiful, the very technological is beautiful, the very brilliant is beautiful, the minimal object. And we need to find a new aesthetic. We need like the mistake. We need like the
imperfection.
The imperfection. And we need acquire a new aesthetic, a new sense of aesthetic.
And I see the Dutch Design Week is starting now in the Netherlands in 2 days. And there's big supplements in the newspaper, and the projects that are picked up to showcase, so the new stars are the ones who are working with these kind of solutions. So that gets picked up as well, which is like, wow.
The whole society, the whole thinking is changing.
But something that is difficult to teach, for example, is, let's be clear, when you are a design student, your orgasm is design something, right?
The system.
No, design, when you go out...
To put your name on something.
Put your name, see your project realize it. This is let's say, the dream of the majority of the students I have.
It's very human.
But, very human, I understand. But what is interesting is also to teach, to say no to the stupid project. This is something that nobody say. This world is full of stupid projects. And the stupid project are realized by someone. When I see vibrators, sex toys, I always think about the designer who designed that, and about the production companies and the discussion on the company and say, what do you think is good to do like this or like that? There is someone who designed that. I don't say that this is stupid, it could be very interesting, but there is so many stupid objects all over.
The next new chair, for instance, not necessarily the vibrator.
No, the vibrator could be a fantastic project. I'm sure about it. I always, but I say, how? This is one of my interior discussion. How teach to someone, to my students, to don't be involved in stupid projects.
Yeah, but
like I just tell you, I have a group of like a small lab with students that they are good, and they receive an order project from like a subsidiary of Apple. So they was absolutely happy because, come on, we have a project with a big Apple and whatever. And they say, what do you do? We will do a cable with multi-plug extension.
Okay.
Say, well, so why you need to design this? It's already 1,000, you can go everywhere. No, this is an Apple one, and you can make the dimmer, so you can change the intensity with an app. I say, but this is a stupid project. Why? And how much is it? $180. Say, but this is for what? And a cable with 4 plugs, 120 euros, because it's made by Apple. So this is a stupid project.
Yes, but
you must say we don't agree to do, because this is stupid. We cannot spend our time, our life, and our resources to do this kind of project, and these need to be taught.
true, but on the other hand, Giulio, in the beginning you said design is a big umbrella with a lot of...
I tell you my personal point of view. I say, I'm agree there is design space for everybody. My point of view, if I am the dean of the School of Design, I'm not the dean of the school, and there is a lot of reason, probably, but how teach?
Yes, I understand.
And say, like this lady talked from
Jean Gardner.
Jean Gardner said, we have not enough material, we have a problem with the hair, we have problem of pollution. Why we not do another cable with another thing? Why? And this is the only critique I have with this new generation. I think the generation I have, like students all over the world, they say in Mexico, I teach in Italy, I teach in Portugal, are flat. They don't make this question. We need to do it or no? I never have a student in the last 2 or 3 years they say, no, professor, this project we don't want to do.
But it has to do with how we talked before.
Yeah.
And also with maturity. You yourself started as a product designer working for big brands, so it's evolution.
I try to teach.
Yes.
They don't need to wait 20 years.
You try to make up for it.
To learn that.
As a teacher, maybe we need a beginning with this big question. What is the project that makes sense today?
Yes,
Exactly.
absolutely. Okay, thank you very much. Are there any other things that we should talk about? Because we're running a little bit out of time. Or
I want to talk about impact.
yes, go ahead.
Mention one project where...
Just briefly, before we go to the audience to ask some questions and make some comments. Yes.
Where everything can be combined. There's one girl now graduated. She did a project to show on festivals. All young people go to festivals everywhere. And it's an installation that shows how much visually shows, three-dimensional, how much water is needed for a cup of coffee, for a glass of wine, for a glass of beer, for a cup of tea. And it's really visual and in your face. So it really impacts, or if you know that, it's beautiful as well to look at. But then you can see, or you become aware physically, because it's not something you read, you feel, maybe I can take another choice, or I take that cup of coffee, but maybe then I also take a cup of tea, or and that is, I think, these moments of impact, and also to choose where you show it and who you show it to. That's small things that matter.
Yes, sure.
And it's designed, and she's a star because it's in the newspaper.
Yes, sure. Okay, thank you very much for this exciting exchange of ideas. Are there any comments or questions from the audience, please? And Mathilde will pass the mic. No questions from the audience, that's impossible. Yes, exactly.
My question was related to stupid projects.
Stupid projects? Yeah, okay, for Giulio.
You thought that we should teach our students to engage with the project, like the technical project. What What do you think is the borderline between a student project and testing limits?
I fully agree, it's not easy to describe. The case of the cable was really stupid. It was very stupid, so it was very easy to find. What I will kidnap the words of my colleagues, what we need to teach is a critical vision of the consume and on our work. This is what we need to do. Clearly, after each one have a different limit of what is intelligent and what is good and what is not bad. But we need to teach this, the attitude that they need to have. Clearly, there is no matter that I say if it's 25 centimeters is okay, if it's not a fish. No?
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
So let's start with some questions. First comment. I believe that the responsibility of the student is to learn. And that's something I've learned in Design Academy Eindhoven. The responsibility is not to prove that you are worthy, that you are the best. The responsibility is to prove that you can learn and learn well.
Stand up, please, so that we can hear you better. Thank you.
Shall I repeat this?
Yes, please. Or no? No? Okay.
Again,
so the first
I believe
responsibility of the student is
to learn.
Yes.
And that's something that I always, with my students, the first thing we do is, okay, guys, you got to hear. Now you have only to learn.
You're a
All
professor
you need,
at
Covilhã.
Covilhã in the north.
In the north. Also was in Design Academy, was in ETIC. I was professor many places.
Okay.
But every time I go, and something I learned with that Irene over there is that the responsibility that we have as students, whether you're doing a master or a PhD or a postdoc, and maybe if you look at Irene's work all her life, her responsibility has been to learn, to study, to be curious. And that's something that many students, they arrive to school and they think, I'm the best. Mm-hmm. I must destroy the rest and show that I'm the best. And some students, they come for a degree. And I remember Irene telling that student to go home. Because
that's
yes.
to do.
You did that. You took a guy called Peter, you told them, well, it's a very nice project, but you've done it for a degree.
Yeah.
Your development, your learning has been zero.
Yeah, that's
So you can go home. Second thing, I have issues with modern students. I have few of them. Number one, the students are shareholders in the school. They pay our salaries. We're the CEO and the head of the organizations, but the students are the shareholders. Design Academy took it a few years ago very radically. They jumped the whole scientific commission and asked the students, what do you want? And I think it's ridiculous that a student first year doesn't know the quality of the education, what it means, gets to decide what's best for him. But it happened. It happened. Second thing is that also we have to deal with lately is very difficult, is the mental damage done by social media, done by touchscreens to students, which they arrive to us with some sort of fear of action, because all their life they have been looking through the screen and never acting, never doing. And that comes now even worse, because now we have digital artificial intelligence tools to help us design. But they are turning designers into an input in the system and not the tool as an input in the creative process. So the role of designer is being put into boxes and smaller boxes. And then I guess my last comment would be that I've noticed that my students of fashion design, when we try to teach them theory of fashion design, we tried 2 years and it failed marvelously. They had no capacity to learn it. But this year we put them working on making clothes in iron wire from the beginning. make them do design not by sketching on paper or by sketching on their touchpads and so on, or on the iPads. And suddenly the theory sinks in. Suddenly they understand how things work. And I think that when we talk about using digital technology in design education, we have to really consider how far we are going and how far we are sacrificing the modernization of the design process for the capacity of having a critical thinking and understanding of what we do as designers of materials. In the same way, I believe that what Giulio said in the beginning is that maybe there is a need to return to this master-apprentice relationship in schools, rather than have a universitary sort of form where you have a class, you give theory to 180 students, and who is there, who is intelligent, and the rest can just whatever. So these are my comments. If you have any opinion, I would love to hear it.
Thank you very much.
Opinion, provocation, let's go.
Thank you. Is there somebody who wants to react briefly?
I am more or less, I am agree with what you say. I just say that the technological evolution doesn't match with the design behavior. It's only a tool, no? Before, I remember I make my renderings on Flumasters, and now I do with 3D programs. But I am agree that there is a sort of like passion for technology who can, this passion is extreme, became like a bit cover to cover the imperfection of their project, or imperfection of their quality, and their poor behavior. Sometimes it's the technology help to make nice that something that maybe is stupid. That's happening.
And about the responsibility of students.
We have this case where we present them a project, and you know what, they think it's good.
But the design student is not economist student or an arting discipline. Design student is a particular student. And the responsibility of the design student is has a critical vision about the world around, because yes, in my opinion, is because design always was an expression of our time. In the 60s, when we have an economic boom, we have a plastic and as a new material, and all designers project plastic to understanding the capacity of this new material. Today is not this time. Today is a time for a new reflection, because our the context is very crazy crisis. Yes, we have refugees. We have
It's a great opportunity, as Gardner said.
And we need
critical thinking.
Yes. Student
capacity.
Yes.
A kid with 18-year-old who's been watching his life through Instagram and YouTube and Spotify and Twitch comes to school, and he has not the creative, critical capacity to say what is a good project. And we have students who come to us and tell us this is the shitty project.
It's not like that, because they are in school, so the school need to help on that. I think the problem is I'm not so confident about that. Let's say in Italian we say you cannot create something from with sand you cannot make cakes, something like that. No? So sometimes you have sand, sometimes you have good
Cakes.
yeah. Cakes. Sometimes you have unexpected person. I have some students that the first day I say, why this guy is here? But go away, please go away. And 3 years after, I had a fantastic. So, me too. I just tell you, I studied design. Why? Because I want to, at the time, I was a student of marine biology.
But you were born a designer. How's the story?
No, I born like, so, because I was involved with all the Jacques Cousteau stories and things like that. So I want to be in this. I was scuba diver. So in front of my school, there was a school of design. And I learned two things. That in my school, I was pushed to study a lot of chemicals. And I didn't like chemicals. And in front of me, the design school was the best girl in the whole university.
Of course.
So this was part of the why I moved from biologist to design.
Not only because
But this is what reality. I was not a genius. I was 17 years old. You know, sure. That was the reason. And learn later, but I learn. I love it, and that's it.
yes.
But I think we cannot judge our students.
We should have some
No,
compassion and
we
empathy.
educate them. We help them develop.
This is the reason that they come to this.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any more questions, please?
Yeah, I have one question regarding the fact that we all can admit that we are at the end of a system, which is the industrial revolution and the industrial system, which pushed us to a point now that we just assume that we have too much products, shitty products, some things we want to go away from, like plastic, and we don't really have solutions. Now we discover that there is the metaverse and all the things we can create with the 3D and all the computer system and algorithm, etc. And but we are just jumping in another environment. And I think, yeah, you said something right. Is how you can learn to the student to make critic about this system, because before jumping in the system, and that's what when I was at school, design school, we were learning. We arrived and we were all wanted to be stars because we were the generation of our teachers or our masters were Philip Stark, for example. But we are at the end of the system today. We can all admit it. So my question is more how we can create the tools in this environment where everything is about influences, algorithm to think in one way, in one direction. How you can create the tools and be sure that you are giving the right tools to make their own decision. And I think that was also the part of the first talk, was to say about you have to learn from yourself. You have to reconnect to the ground. We have to reconnect to something which is elementary. How can we do that with the students? What is the tools you are giving them to think about that?
Good question, thank you. Do you want to give your vision?
It's difficult. Yeah. You're mentioning also this metaverse, and I think about that as well. What I think in the first place, it's very important that we start with a discovery, with training the students in a discovery of themselves. That is the first part. In Design Academy, bachelor education has now changed in that students each semester chooses a studio to study in. But there's also one which is headed by the digital natives from London. And it's 5 girls, and they are digital natives, and they really are about this metaverse and everything that goes around with that. But the next time they can study something which is really in the making semester. And so they choose their trajectory, and they also choose their interest, their building blocks, so to say. So they explore the different worlds and possibilities of designers that you can become. But alongside that, there's also a critical training so that you ask questions. It's not that one is better than the other. Of course, the hand has to be trained and the visualization skills, etc. And the tactile, the knowledge that is in this touching of things and in drawing, etc. That's a completely different one than in computers. And we're still three-dimensional human beings as well, although we may have our alter ego in the metaverse, and maybe we spend even more money on the dress that we buy for our persona that we created then, and we on our this is happening in the new generations. We can hardly imagine.
It's not because it's happening that we can't make something to stop it.
No, but why should it stop? I mean, that is also. I think that's not the way. I think it's good to bring some consciousness there, and to also if you can design this beautiful dress for the metaverse, why not? But what does it imply, and what is the critical thinking around it, and how does it relate to the physical world? There's a lot to explore, and it won't stop.
No, and as Maria said, your design is operating in a given context, right? You can't change that entire context, I guess.
Maybe
I think
we need
I think there is not a recipe to do that. I think it depends on your sensibility and your way of teach, and also the line of the university, because it's very different to teach in your university than teaching in Italian university, for example. What I personally do, I try to connect my students with the reality they live, and sometimes they don't have any connection.
But this digital reality is also a reality.
Yeah, but the digital reality, I agree with you. If you can just make design in the metaverse, whatever. But they need to also know that there is a materiality, there is a reality outside of the nice design school. So personally, I always shock my students because the first day arrive and they say, okay, so tomorrow or next week, I see you in this address. And so the guy say, this address? Yes, come to the garden. And it's maybe a refugee camp or something. And the guy say, what we are doing here? This is the reality. You need to adapt to yourself to different realities. This is the way to learn, to do it. You don't say that you will, I don't need to create monks of the church people that need to help people. No, this is not. It's just know that there is other realities about a part of you. And learning that, in my personal experience, is as much I learn about others, as much I learn about me.
Yeah, and that exchange also happens with our students. Because and I always love Rancher, his book, The Ignorant Schoolmaster. If you don't know it, read it. It's fantastic. He talks about you can teach as a schoolmaster a student to become a great pianist if he has the talent without being one yourself or even knowing how to play the piano. And that is, young students will come in with completely different minds and ideas, but still some things are universal and you can help them develop their skills in whatever direction. Even in this metaverse, I know nothing about it, but I have students who did great projects as exam projects there. But it is also because you question them and you help them develop themselves, and you know when it's. You can also see in a student when he's on the right track. There's this enthusiasm, there's this thing that wow, the spark is there. Let's see how we can help them along, and they can help each other. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. I can see that you're all great teachers. Thank you also for your attention. You're also, of course, all invited for our next talk, which will be on the 24th of November, From the Workshop to the World, How do we promote local makers within the digital era? I also have to announce that that this talk was dedicated to Fatima of Passa Futuro, who would have normally been part of also the next talk. Thank you also to Garantir Cultura and Turismo Portugal, who supports this series of talks. And Babel Studio, of course, for hosting us.
and pampering us and for the ideas.
Support us.
And Vos for your moderation.
Oh, with pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Actually, also Tomas and all the other people who made this technically possible, because it was a bit difficult with the sound. Marta, the material, yes.